and they're hungry and wanting to feed their families.
Well, and it's also, too, you look at some of the photographs that came out of it. Joyce, it looks like the police sacrificed their own cruisers and left them for the mob to destroy.
Yes.
So here you go, guys. Take our police cruisers, set it on fire, and get it out of your system. By the way, we're going to issue a stand-down order. And I've heard of stand-down orders before, Joyce.
Yep.
9/11,
yep.
Ring a bell?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a lot of unanswered questions about Baltimore, and I think we've brought up some of the major ones here. But the affiliation, though, with the Committee to Federalize Police, that's the biggest one, and I think this is a perfect place. 40 miles from Washington, D.C. Couldn't have been more perfect. I want to move to Jade Helm because we're gonna have to go to a break now, but I want to move to Jade Helm. We were talking before the show about the meaning of Jade Helm. Now, here's what I found, and then I want you to, after the break, tell us what you found. Jade is Joint Assistant for Deployment and Execution, and Helm is Homeland Eradication of Local Militants. That's what I found. I want to find out what Gary found as the derivation of Jade Helm after this 3-minute break. We'll be right back. This is Joyce and Gary with the Power Hour. Stay tuned. 3-minute break. This is Joyce Riley from the Power Hour, and I want to introduce you to Numana Storable Foods. This is the first brand of storable foods that I am willing to put my name behind. It's food you can trust. No GMOs, no MSG, no chemical preservatives, and no fake meat. Plus, Numana doesn't just make that claim. They back it up with independent evaluation and testing. Another thing that Numana really does that excites me is the delicious vegetarian options. If your standards are as high as mine, I can confidently tell you that Numana Storable Foods are the quality choice that you've been waiting for. Numana won't just meet your expectations, they will exceed them. And that's why we're thrilled to have the good guys from Numana joining the Power Hour family. Go to powerprepper.com and learn about Numana Storable Foods. You can also call 877-817-9829. That's 877-817-9829. Numana, the storable food you'll love to eat.
This alert just came in. This special announcement is for business owners and leaders of organizations who've been waiting for the right time to build. General Steel has made it impossible to wait any longer with rock-bottom prices that could save you thousands. That's right, General Steel, America's leader in pre-engineered structures, is offering buildings at prices you will never see again. Don't miss these prices. A 50 by 100 for $35,000. You heard right, that's 5,000 square feet for $35,000. Manufacturers, if you need a larger building, try a 100 by 100 commercial building for $129,000. You can't afford to rent with these prices. Imagine a 70 by 100 foot church building for under $69,000. With the economy improving and interest rates still at historic lows, you can't afford to wait. So call 866-91-STEEL. Lock in your price now. Call 866-91-STEEL. That's 866-917-8335.
If the IRS has garnished your paycheck or seized money from your bank account, you need to get professional tax help now. Fast action is required to put a halt to these aggressive IRS collection tactics. You can count on the knowledgeable team of tax professionals at Wall & Associates. With over 30 years of experience, Wall & Associates has settled the tax problems of thousands of taxpayers for a small fraction of what they owed. For a free face-to-face consultation, call 1-800-425-4610 to put a wall between you and the IRS. 1-800-425-4610 or look for us on the web at wallandassociates.net. We solve tax problems. If you hire Wall & Associates today, you'll never have to talk to the IRS again. To stop the levies and seizures today, take action now. Call Wall & Associates at 1-800-425-4610. Wall & Associates, 1-800-425-4610. Based on actual cases, results may vary, not a solicitation for legal services.
Welcome back to Power Hour. It's 54 minutes after the hour, wherever you're sitting. So glad to have you back. It's all about the truth, and that's what we're trying to get to. We're not trying to dissect what happens in the news as if we purposely don't believe them. It's because they make so many statements that don't make any sense. Like, we gave them a chance to destroy, and guess what? They did it. And, we're saying, well, yeah, what did you expect them to do? Anyway, getting back to the issue of Jade Helm, it's far more serious than I think we even know. I think there's far more involved in Jade Helm. But for those people maybe that don't know what Jade Helm is, Gary, why don't you give them a rundown of the background of Jade Helm, and then let them know what you found out is the meaning of the acronym.
Well, basically, Jade Helm is a 10-state military drill, and the military is going city by city, and they're requesting the invitation of those cities, enticing them through, economic revitalization. The military is going to spend money in your town. We're going to buy a sack of potatoes here so that our troops can, hide these potatoes in the woods, and they're going to go find them. After they jump out of a helicopter or an airplane for a paramilitary drop, paratrooper drop, they're going to be some people will not be wearing fatigues. They will be wearing civilian clothing, trying to blend into the population, doing clandestine maneuvers.
Oh, my gosh.
Even in civilian vehicles. Now, this is across 10 states, and different states have been listed as hostile. Of course, we know Texas has been listed as hostile. But the curious element is, again, the logo, going back to the symbology of Jade Helm. When the military contractor was basically selling Jade Helm to the Big Spring City Council, curiously, it was a military contractor wearing a sport coat and a shirt. It wasn't a man wearing fatigues and petitioning. It was, so we're going to send someone who you can relate to. He's not going to look like a scary military guy, and he's not even part of the military guy. He's a contractor who's part of the design process. So you have this contractor. He goes before the city council, and then he reveals that they're all going to be wearing armbands with a logo to identify themselves. And, forgive me for jumping to this conclusion, but, first time I hear armbands, I think of Nazis and swastikas on their armbands to identify them.
Yeah.
And then, so you have the military wearing armbands, and then you have the willing public also going to be wearing armbands in a different color or a different design. And Joyce, that's exactly what happened in World War II. The Nazis, the official Nazis who were part of the military, they wore their own, but the civilians had a separate version of the armband that was yellow and black. So you could decipher the two. Now the logo itself is very curious. It has two arrows intersecting with a sword that's pointed upwards, and it says Jade Helm, Master of the Human Domain.
Ooh.
Now, okay, that's what it says. Jade Helm, Master of the Human Domain. Now, this is where it gets really freaky. Okay, I'm going to get a little dark here, but if you take a pen and you connect all the dots of the points, you get an inverted pentagram. With the center, you have an inverted cross.
Whoa.
So
gosh.
There is symbology there that is occult in nature, which is very, very dark.
Wow. That is scary. That is creepy. Oh, my gosh. Well, the name Jade Helm, what are we finding that is the meaning of that? Is that what I said earlier?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm finding here. There's a lot of information online that has to be sifted through. Of course, you can find these PDF documents through the military. They have it all listed publicly. You can find it in their PowerPoint presentations as well.
Uh-huh. Okay, when we come back, new update on GMO labeling in Vermont, and also some new bullets that will follow you to hit you. Oh, there. Belly up to the IRS bar, pay your amount of money that you owe, ladies and gentlemen, to get them.
What have I learned so far? I've learned that there is no one path right for everyone. I've learned that without my high school diploma, I can only do so much. My options were limited. I found a free personalized learning program with Learn for Life that has a flexible schedule so I could keep my job while earning my high school diploma. I found new career training opportunities that would jumpstart my future. What have I learned so far? I've learned that I can change my life.
Are you 14 to 19 years old and looking for a free high school diploma program with flexible meeting times? This program allows you to keep your job or important family responsibilities while earning your high school diploma. If you've fallen behind on credits or dropped out of school completely, get back on track with free tutoring, a caring faculty, and one-on-one attention. For more information on how to reach your graduation goal, visit learnforlife.org. That's LEARN, the number 4, LIFE.org. Or enroll today by calling 877-360-LEARN. That's 877-360-LEARN.
KCAA is your CNBC News affiliate. We're the station that gets down to business.
Sometimes buy cookies is...
The president talking about the police disappointing economic report. I'm Michael Toscano. The first night of Baltimore's citywide curfew is generally quiet. More than 1,000 police officers from throughout Maryland and 2,000 National Guard troops patrolled the streets. Meanwhile, President Obama has called into the Steve Harvey Morning Show to talk about the issue.
Police departments themselves need to understand that if they want to be successful and create a safer environment for their officers, then they've got to build more trust. And it's in their interest to root out folks who aren't doing the right thing, to hold accountable people when they do something wrong.
The U.S. economy skidded to a near halt in the first 3 months of the year, battered by a triple whammy of harsh weather, plunging exports, and sharp cuts back in oil and gas drilling. The overall economy grew at a barely discernible annual rate of 0.2% in the January through March quarter. Those figures just out this morning from the U.S. Department of Commerce. I'm Michael Toscano.
Advance Auto Parts knows what makes a car guy a car guy. It's the courage to take on the greasiest of jobs, the guts to stare down the belly of the beast and replace a radiator. It's fearlessness, and it has no patience for dead batteries. That's why Advance Auto Parts offers free battery testing. And if you buy a new Autocraft battery, we'll even install it for free, so you can get back to your next big project. Advance Auto Parts, for guys who love getting under the hood.
Most vehicles, most locations. See store for details.
I'm a breakfast defector.
I'm a breakfast defector.
I'm Amanda, and I'm a breakfast defector. People all over America have left their old morning routines for something new. Now Taco Bell is declaring this Cinco de Mayo Breakfast Defector Day.
Defector Day.
That means the biscuit taco is free for everyone on May 5th, between 7 and 11 a.m. Come claim your free biscuit taco.
Free biscuit taco.
Free biscuit taco. Breakfast Defector Day, May 5th. Join us. Subject to terms at participating locations and tacobell.com/rules. One free sausage biscuit taco or bacon biscuit taco per person while supplies last.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Ron Pritchard. For this morning, we've got sunny skies and a high near 93. Tonight, mostly clear, low near 57. Mostly sunny on Thursday with a high near 92. Thursday night, mostly clear, low near 58. Sunny on Friday, a high near 90. Friday night, mostly clear, low near 60. Saturday, sunny, a high near 84. Saturday night, mostly clear, low near 57. Sunny on Sunday with a high near 80. Sunday night, patchy fog, partly cloudy, a low near 52. Patchy fog on Monday, mostly sunny with a high near 77. Monday night, patchy fog, increasing clouds, and a low near 52. That's your weather forecast for this hour from the station that leaves no listener behind, NBC News Radio, AM 1050 KCAA.
Controlled? Well, maybe. Chaos? Definitely. Tune in weekday mornings, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. for Controlled Chaos with Gary Garver, Jigga, Dave, and Mary Tonga. KCAA 1050 a.m. You have to hear it to believe it.
It's the Onion Radio News. A new crispy snack cracker will ease the crushing pain of modern life. This is Doyle Redland reporting. The dull, all-consuming ache of present-day existence will be slightly alleviated when Nabisco's breakthrough T.C. McCrispy's line of crackers arrives on supermarket shelves today. Available in regular, Garden Ranch, and Zesty Cheddar, the new crackers will flood consumers' bodies with fat, salt, and starch to produce a pleasing sensation of warmth and nourishment, momentarily freeing them from a relentless, crushing sense of profound grief. Mel Krychak is Nabisco's Director of Corporate Communications.
Our tasty new snack cracker will, if only for a few lovely moments, significantly lessen the hideously bleak and empty torment of modern life that festers in every solitary soul.
Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
In AgNet West today, negotiations continue for the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a free trade agreement between the United States and 11 other Pacific Rim countries. More of the story after this.
Grape growers, what are the 3 most important things to control powdery mildew? Location, location, rotation. By location, location, I mean that powdery mildew can be about everywhere on a grapevine. Leaves, fruit, stems, and hiding in every nook, cranny, and hard-to-reach area. That's where Quintec fungicide from Dow AgroSciences can help. Quintec keeps moving around leaf and berry tissues long after application, forming a protective barrier as it moves in a vapor phase. You get up to 21 days of superior protection, even under high pressure. By rotation, I mean that Quintec is in a class of chemistry all by itself. The quinolines. No other fungicide can say that. And that makes Quintec an excellent rotation partner with fungicides from other classes. Why, if you're not rotating with Quintec, you might not really be rotating at all. To control powdery mildew, remember, location, location, rotation. To learn more about Quintec, contact your pest control advisor. Always read and follow label directions.
U.S. Trade Ambassador Darcy Vetter says if the United States is not at the table, other countries will negotiate an agreement with or without the United States.
Other countries are not going to wait for us to be in the game. Even if we're not at the table, they are actively working with each other to implement preferential trade agreements.
Vetter cites examples of countries working together without the U.S.
Japan and Australia just completed what they call an economic partnership agreement. It went into force on January 15th. As of that date, Australia has an 8.5% tariff advantage on beef entering Japan. Our number 1 market, and now our number 1 competitor in that market, has a significant tariff advantage entering that market.
Vetter is hopeful that the negotiations for the Trans-Pacific Partnership are nearing completion and that an agreement is close at hand. I'm Sabrina Hill for AgNetWest.com.
Attention, teachers, nurses, social workers, government employees, police officers, and firefighters. If you are still paying on student loans, then get ready for a special announcement. Your entire student loan can be forgiven. You heard correctly. Broadsword Student Advantage has free information on how you can potentially have the remaining balance of your student loan debt completely forgiven. We can help anyone with student loans potentially cut their payments in half, reduce their interest rate, or consolidate their outstanding loan. But if you are a teacher, nurse, social worker, government employee, police officer, or firefighter, you have the added benefit of potentially having your student loan completely forgiven. Call now for free information to find out how. Call 800-481-2993. That's 800-481-2993. Don't waste another payment on your old student loans. Call for your free information now. 800-481-2993. That's 800-481-2993.
KCAA, where every day is a great day. KCAA, Loma Linda.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am Aaron Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink here on KCAA AM 1050. It is Wednesday. And it's going to be a hot Wednesday.
It's going to be a really hot Wednesday, but a good Wednesday. You know why?
Why?
Because today our daughter might get her driver's license.
Woo!
I can retire my taxi license.
Oh, my gosh. To be able to just hand her the keys and say, go have fun, and by the way, can you stop at the grocery store? That would be really wonderful.
When you have kids, no one ever tells you about this particular benchmark, right? You talk about like the big moments in your child's life.
Walking, and when they can get up on a Saturday morning and fix their own cereal.
Exactly, but being able to hand them the keys to the car and say, go to the store for me.
You want ice cream? You go get your own ice cream.
That's right. That's right. So this is a good Wednesday for me. I'm a happy dad.
Well, we got to say good morning to Carlos Cool Breeze Gonzalez. How you doing this morning, Carlos?
I'm hanging in there.
I like the song this morning.
Oh, no. Well, it's new.
I appreciate it. No. I like it. We always comment on the music. You know, I like the song.
Me too.
I'm not a real music person, but I like the song too. But she knows songs. I don't know songs, so I make silly stuff up.
That was Creedence Clearwater Revival.
I've heard of them.
She's good.
She is good. No, I'm telling you, she knows music. I don't know music, but I love it.
So anyway, how are you this morning?
Doing all right.
It's early.
Oh, yeah, it's always early.
It's always early. So, yeah, it's going to be hot today, folks. And I know we usually don't talk about the weather on the station, but, make sure you have water. Make sure your pets have water. It's going to be a hot one. It's like we skipped over winter entirely, had a really early spring, and now it's time for summer.
For me, what's been weird is how it keeps flip-flopping back and forth. You know, we had a couple of days this last week where it was cold and rainy, and I had to pull out all the cold gear again.
It wasn't cold. it was cool.
It was cool, but you know what I'm saying. I had to pull out the warmer clothing,
Yes.
which I'd already kind of put away because it had been so hot lately. You know,
Yes.
and now we're back to like 80, 90 degree days
I just wish
again.
it would rain.
Rain would be good.
You know, and despite the rainy weather, apparently the Orange Show did really well this year, which I'm glad. You know.
Oh, I hadn't seen that yet.
Yeah, Orange Show apparently did. It was the biggest in a long time. So that's really good. Now, before we get started, I want to do what I always do and tell people all the ways they can listen to KCAA AM 1050. Of course, you can find us in the Inland Empire at 1050 on the AM dial. You can also find us online at www.kcaaradio.com, and from there you'll find links to all the other ways to interact with us, including social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. You'll be able to watch our Ustream feed or click through directly to Ustream. You can find us on YouTube as well. If you're heading into LA and OC and you want to listen to the show all the way down, all the way into work, and then all the way throughout the day to listen to all the other shows on the station, put the TuneIn app on your iPhone or other Apple device, and you can listen to us using the TuneIn app. You go to the App Store, search for the TuneIn app, download it, get it installed. It's free. Once you have it installed, search for KCAA Radio. And like I said, you can listen to all of our live shows 24/7, and all of our local shows you can also listen to on podcast. If you have an Android device, you can do the same at www.kcaaexpress.com. If you want a call to listen, you can do that. So say you have a flip phone or you have a home phone that you want to use, you call 832-999-1050. That's 832-999-1050. So lots of news going on right now. I mean, it's been a big news cycle.
Yes, it has. A lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. Everyone's talking about Baltimore.
Yes, but before I get to Baltimore, I'm going to talk about the Orange Show a little bit.
Okay.
So for 100 years, San Bernardino's ode to all things orange, and sometimes yellow, lemon yellow, has entertained and informed locals and visitors alike. This year edition was very successful, according to Dan Jimenez, National Orange Show president, CEO, and general manager. Attendance was good and actually set records. Opening day on Wednesday and closing day on Sunday set attendance records, according to Jimenez, but official tallies weren't in yet. I'm guessing we had close to 35 to 40,000 people, he said. Opening day was the biggest we've had in a long time. So I'm very, very glad to hear that. It's good for the San Bernardino economy. And he said that he's never seen so many little kids and families, which is great.
Yeah, well, I think that's how they marketed it this year. They really, really focused on the family. They're making this a family-friendly event. You know, we talked about the fact they gave out tickets to all the kids in the schools.
Yes.
You know, I think they really wanted to get families with kids there.
I think that's smart. And, you know,
Yep.
they had Twinkle on there.
Yep.
So, we, you know, having the good acts and fun acts for kids, I think that's wonderful.
So speaking of Twinkle, I actually shared her new song with my students yesterday.
Did they like it?
They did, and they were surprised that she did Spanish. That was like, oh, she's cool. That's cool Spanish. You know,
Yep.
and it's got kind of a techno slash.
Well, it's pop.
Yeah, pop. I mean, it's got that real. Yeah, she's good.
Yeah,
she's good. The kids liked it. They thought it was kind of fun.
Yep, it is fun. And so, you know, I'm glad that she was out. I'm glad she was on our show, and I hope the kids then follow her. I mean, because she's all over social media, so
that's what
it's
I told
super
them.
easy to follow her. And she does sing in Spanish, which is great. Not that I understand it, but hey. So Bud Light has gotten themselves into a little bit of trouble. Let's put Baltimore off because it's kind of a depressing thing. But Bud Light has gotten itself into a little trouble. Now, if you've seen the ads where they had like the guys walking into a bar and, you know, they basically ask, are you up for anything? And and they walk, she sends him down the street and there's this big party that's supposed to look like it was just made for them. And, you know, they all party and have a good time, and Bud Light, you're up for anything. Except that there was a slogan that went along with that, and it said, the perfect beer for removing no from your vocabulary for the night. Now, you're a guy. What does that mean to you?
Rape.
How about you, Carlos?
Yeah, that's kind of about that.
Now, I think that Bud Light meant to say, we're fun, but what they said was, you know, they just, candy is dandy and liquor is quicker, and that's really what Bud Light was going for.
That's right. That's right. Ladies, if you want to get yourself a little rape tonight, have a Bud Light.
You know, for me, they started to go downhill as soon as they got rid of the Bud Bowl.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Oh, my goodness. I'd forgotten about that one. They've had some innovative commercials over the years, though. I mean, they really have had some good ones, but this one, they missed the target by a lot.
They really did. Democratic Representative Nia Lowy accused the company of showing an epic lack of understanding of the dangers associated with excessive alcohol consumption, such as sexual assault and drunk driving. The message missed the mark, you think?
You know what it was? This was targeted advertising. This is based on the quote-unquote campus rape culture. This was targeted for the fraternity that doesn't really care.
Yeah, but that's kind of narrowing their market, don't you think?
Well, I don't know if you read the statistics.
Yeah. If
or
you believe the made-up statistics.
Believe the made-up statistics.
Yeah, so they it's not a good thing. The company says no more bottles will be produced with the slogan. This isn't the first such misstep with Bud Light from the Bud Light campaign. Bloomberg notes in March the company was accused of promoting sexual harassment by suggesting drinkers pinch people who aren't up for whatever. After that incident, it's frankly dumbfounding that the latest tagline made it through the countless levels of reviews and ended up on a beer bottle, especially given the close links between alcohol consumption and sexual assault.
Yeah.
Rape. I mean, did they honestly? It's like they went to a fraternity house and did their focus group there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right there. That's exactly what happened. And the guys who were coming up with this idea, they were all drunk on Bud Light. Nobody wanted to say no. You're right. That's a great idea, man.
Let's do it.
Beer bong.
Yeah.
Party.
Oh, God. So we'll see what Bud Light then does. I mean, Bud Bowl was good. And, Budweiser has their, the Budweiser brand, Anheuser-Busch has their Clydesdales with the cute little puppies.
And they used to have the frogs with the Budweiser.
Oh, actually, that was really clever. I like that ad campaign.
Oh, yeah.
They've had some great ones over the years. They really have.
They have. But no, not so much on this one. It's actually time for a break already.
No.
It is 6:16. I'm Aaron Brinker.
I'm Tobin Brinker.
And he's Carlos Gonzalez in the booth. And we are KCAA AM 1050 on the Brink, the morning show. We'll be right back.
President Obama recently declared, "We've got to make sure we're writing the rules so that we've got a level playing field." Wow, so much "we" in only one sentence. He was talking about his Trans-Pacific Partnership, but who exactly is we? Not you and me. TPP is yet another global trade scam that'll ship even more of our middle-class jobs to places like Vietnam with its 53 cents an hour wage base. It'll let Big Pharma extend its worldwide price gouging of consumers. It'll encourage more environmentally destructive fracking of our communities. It will kill our buy local and other value-based government purchasing programs. It will allow foreign corporations to take over our public services. And, well, TPP will empower multinational corporations in the U.S. and 11 other nations to reign supreme over regular folks. Obama and his global corporate cohorts are mounting a massive PR campaign to get our Congress critters to rubber stamp this un-American, anti-democratic deal. Even the Secretary of Agriculture is being used to hype this corporate boondoggle. How embarrassing to see Secretary Tom Vilsack shamelessly shilling for TPP, which he knows will help corporate middlemen further squeeze family farmers. Bizarrely, Vilsack hailed the deal as a boon to farmers, claiming it would increase exports of U.S. farm commodities. Maybe, but dirt farmers don't do the exporting. That's done by Cargill, Tyson Foods, and other giant global marketers that profit by holding down the price they pay to our farmers. To paraphrase a verse from an old Western swing song, little bee sucks the blossom, but the big bee gets the honey. Little farmer grows the crop, but the middleman gets the money. This is Jim Hightower saying, that's a good line in a song, but it's ugly when our so-called leaders turn it into official policy.
Hi, everybody. Ray Lucia here. We just saw the biggest jump in mortgage rates in more than 25 years. So now it's more important than ever to lock in your loan with a professional who has a thorough understanding of this wild mortgage market. That pro, Steve Aladord, the loan financial planner from Rancho Financial. Steve is one of the top 1% of mortgage originators in the entire country. And for years, Steve has worked with me, my family members and friends, and in most cases will close your loan in 30 days or less. Time is critical if you're ready to buy or refi. No one knows where rates will go next. Learn the advantages of working with a direct lender who can fast-track your loan. Steve Alador can calculate which program is best for you and educate you about all of your options. Call the loan financial planner, Steve Alador, at 888-563-1070. That's 888-563-1070. Or watch Steve's free home loan webinar at loanfinancialplanner.com. That's loanfinancialplanner.com.
Are you particular about the vitamins and supplements you take? Have you found that the big chain stores simply don't have what you need? Then you should know about the Vitamin Center of Agora Hills. You'll find rock-bottom prices on gourmet, top-quality vitamins and mineral supplements at the Vitamin Center. Get 30% off on all supplements and homeopathic products. All, not just selected merchandise. In addition, you'll find 30% off on all cosmetics, soaps, shampoos, toothpaste, makeup, hair coloring, and lip gloss. And all tea products are discounted 20%. Why go anywhere else? See for yourself at the Vitamin Center of Agora Hills, 5007 Canaan Road in Agora Hills. Or check out the savings and place your order online, VitaminCenterAgoraHills.com. Start saving by getting what you need from the Vitamin Center of Agora Hills. And tell a friend that the Vitamin Center ships nationwide. Call 818-707-0005. That's 818-707-0005. The Vitamin Center of Agora Hills.
The founder of a world-renowned symphony made up of children.
The Inland Empire's most heroic teacher.
The world-famous mixed martial arts hero, Baptiste Mansour.
The lady who's saving homeless kids in Redlands.
The Inland Empire has thousands of community, business, and kid heroes. Each week, we share their stories with you. Join us for My Awesome Empire and find out why the Inland Empire is so great.
Saturday afternoons at 5 p.m. on AM 1050 and KCAAradio.com.
KCAA Loma Linda, your CNBC news station, where your business comes first.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And he's... playing a little Rolling Stones.
That was a cool song.
It is a cool song.
Yeah.
It is a cool song. So, there's some other big stories going on.
Yes, there are.
He's looking at me like, which ones?
Because if I say the wrong one, I'm going to get in trouble again.
Oh, really?
You're going to smack me around.
Oh, because I do that. I don't do that.
Verbally. She smacks me around verbally, people.
No,
you
I
heard
don't.
her right here on air.
Really?
I said Baltimore, and she said, no! We're going to talk about something else.
It sounded just like that.
Sort of. In my head.
All right. So moving right along, there's this story of this Texas A&M professor. So this is Texas A&M at the Galveston campus. He failed his entire class.
Yeah. Pretty amazing. I mean, as a school teacher myself, I can relate to where this guy's at. But at the same time, I think he kind of went off the deep end, and you get that at the end of the article because it sounds like the school kind of is like, what? Oh, my God, I can't believe the professor failed everybody. But, I mean, anyone who's been in the classroom has probably had a class the way that, similar to what this guy's describing. But this is college level, which I think is shocking.
Well, and he's a professor, so his name is Erwin Horowitz. He's an instructional associate professor in the university's Department of Maritime Administration. Of course, Galveston's right on the coast. He said enough was enough. It became apparent that they couldn't do just some of the most simple and basic things they should have been able to do at that point. And so it was their strategic management students in his maritime class. And you want to talk about that, Tobin?
Yeah. So he sends an email out to all of his students telling them that he's failing them all. And in the email, he says, I've seen cheating, been told by students to chill out, get out of my space, go back and teach, refused to leave the room after being told to do so following inappropriate conduct, being called an effing moron several times by a student to my face. He added that students spread hurtful rumors about him and his wife and colleagues, and that he felt the need for police protection in class. Now, you know there's a problem when you want to have a police officer standing next to you to protect you from your very own students.
Yes.
So they interviewed John Shaw, a senior from Galveston, who was in the class, and he's worried about the job that he had lined up after graduation because of this failing grade. And he says, just ridiculous because, I mean, I've never had a problem in the class, Shaw said. I thought I had done pretty well on the first test and everything else that was going on. I get an email saying that I'm going to get an F in the class, and it was just kind of overwhelming.
Yeah, so think about that for a second. You're a senior, you've got a job lined up, and then all of a sudden this happens.
Yeah. So this is when the university steps in, right? And they basically say, no, we're going to look at each kid's individual work, and they're going to be given the grade assigned on what they did individually. We're not going to fail the whole class. And very politically correct, they said that Horowitz has decided to step down from the position, and they're replacing him with a more senior professor who will finish out the term with the students. They're not saying that he's fired or anything like that, but it sounds like he just basically lost control or didn't have the relationship. I mean, honestly, and I've been teaching now for 20 years, it's all about the relationship you form with those kids. And if you don't have a decent working relationship in your classroom with some level of mutual respect and understanding about what's supposed to be going on, you can't teach.
Especially in a class with seniors, which presumably is much smaller. Because, you have these freshman classes or just general education classes. I don't want to say freshmen because there's all students in there that are, they can have several hundred people in them, and there's no relationship. That in that situation, it's really impossible.
Yeah.
But in this situation, presumably, they had seniors in the class, and it's smaller. Even if it was 50 kids, it's smaller than 400. So you might be able to, or I say kids, young people.
But I guarantee you could go to any school in America and find a teacher who could share with you an experience where they've had that one class that just for whatever reason just didn't work, was off the chain, misbehaving, all kinds of issues, and the teacher wanted to fail them all. And I understand the desire to do that, but I think the university is correct. You have to give each kid the grade that kid earned. Because even though you may have that one class, there's always a couple kids in there, at least, maybe more than that have done the work, that have been good, who, you can't punish everybody because you've got a bunch of knuckleheads that are causing problems.
Right. Have you ever been in a class that's been out of control, Carlos?
Let me put it this way. I was taking a business, I passed my business administration course, but in one class, we had I wouldn't say special, I'm just going to say he was a pothead, right? Okay? Now, I'm just going to say this person was so doped out on the day where the teacher gave out the rules, where we had to make a business presentation. Now, one of the main rules is you can't do it about drugs.
Oh, no.
Now, this person was stoned the day that he had actually said that. Come presentation day, guess what his report is on?
Medical marijuana?
Oh, yeah. And was he high doing it? Yes, he was.
Oh, my gosh, you can't make this stuff up.
Oh.
And did the teacher give him an A?
I have never seen a depressed professor in my life more than this man. And this man is an Energizer battery in the morning. This was a 6 a.m. class, and he is full of energy.
Wow.
This took it right out of him.
Oh, my gosh. It's like, wow, you get an F.
Oh, my goodness.
That's especially pathetic since most professors have office hours. They put their rules in a syllabus that you get at the beginning of the quarter. They talk about the project, over the course of the quarter or semester. Yeah. And wow.
I'm just going to go out on a limb, and I think he actually smoked the syllabus.
Epic fail.
Epic fail.
Jeez. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I do remember, and along those same lines, when I was in high school, I took a speech class. I was a senior. Took a speech class, and the class was really fun. And they gave us various, and I've told this story before, but I don't think on the air. They gave us, we had various speeches that we had to do, and one of them was an instructional speech. And the teacher had always said, well, you got to get up and do something, right? If you didn't prepare something, get up and wing it, because at least you'll get a D, right? So this guy got up, and it was he was a total stoner, and it was very, very clear that he had not prepared anything. I don't know that he was even awake in class. Maybe he was just, doped out, but he got up and gave a speech about how to take a shower. I am not making this up. Turn on the water. You got to feel it and make sure it's not too hot or not too cold. and we were laughing, and the teacher was bright red, laughing his tail off in the back of the class. I think the guy got a C, I'm like, wow, that's creative.
You got to applaud that kind of effort.
Like, you put the bath mat down, then and he's telling people how to wash their hair and how to. Oh my gosh, it was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. All these years later, and I still remember. So, what's the craziest story for you in the classroom?
I don't know. I mean, I wasn't thinking crazy when we started this art. I was thinking of like just bad behavior.
Okay, well, what's the worst?
And
I'm sure you've got bad behavior stories.
Yeah, I've had classes where I've lost control. But
that was early on.
That was early on, and certainly as I've gotten older and been in the classroom longer, that's not an issue for me anymore at all. But I actually remember, I think it was my second year of teaching. I was doing a summer school class. And I had done an assignment with them. It was a project that basically we were studying World War II, and they were learning about Nazism. And I had sort of turned them – I wanted to show them how easy it was to be manipulated, like the way Hitler basically manipulated Germany and turned them into little Nazis. And so I had read about this simulation that another teacher had done, so I sort of copied it in my classroom. And so the kids were doing some things.
What was the simulation?
Well, I don't want to go into too much detail, but the kids basically, whenever someone would enter or leave the classroom, they'd have to stand up and salute them. There were some kids that were sort of given a higher rank than other kids. And anyway, it got a little bit out of hand. And the kids, a small group of kids actually read ahead in the book and realized what I was doing. And a kid convinced me to step outside the class to talk to him. And when I stepped outside the class, they shut the door and locked it behind me. And I'm a brand new teacher.
And this is high school.
High school level, okay? I'm a brand new teacher, and I am now out in the hallway, locked out of my own classroom with the kids all inside, and I'm freaking out because I'm thinking, this is it. My career's over. Right? I mean, seriously, I mean, this is a bad situation. Now, I say bad because my mind, of course, is going crazy. And I'm pounding on the door and trying not to make too much of a scene because I don't want to draw too much attention to myself. I just want to get back in the classroom and exert my control, and whatever. And they kept me outside for about 5 minutes. When I finally came back in the classroom, they had written a Declaration of Independence in those 5 minutes. And they basically said, we're done, Mr. Brinker. We're done. That they didn't want to be little Nazis anymore. They realized.
Wow, that's actually a great lesson.
It was.
But it freaked you out.
Freaked me out. But they realized what I was doing, and they wrote their little Declaration of Independence, and that was how they explained to me that we don't want to do this anymore. You made your point. This is not fun. We don't want to be Nazis. But it was for me. It was one of the scariest moments of teaching I've ever had, being locked outside the classroom by a group of kids. Yeah.
Wow.
And I'll tell you, I feel funny even telling the story now because it was so humiliating and just dangerous. As a teacher, you don't ever want to have that sense of. But again, it was the second year of teaching, and it was actually a summer school class, which was the other thing too. So I had them for like 4 hours, a day, which was another kind of a weird situation.
And you really weren't that much older than them. You were in your 20s when this all happened.
Yeah. So it was an unusual situation, but I think it was powerful learning. If you were to go back and talk to any of the kids from that class, it's like you said with your kid from the speech class. I think they would remember that moment, and I distinctly remember the kids who sort of led the uprising against me. It was.
It sounds like an effective lesson if you just had your keys in your pocket.
Yeah. Well, no, I had the keys. The kids were holding the door closed. I couldn't get it open. They were bigger than me. It was high school, guys.
It was high school. So, all right, it's already time for another break. 6:32. I'm Aaron Brinker.
I'm Tobin Brinker.
And he's
Cool Breeze.
We're putting him on the spot today. This is the On the Brink morning show here on KCAA AM 1050. We'll be right back.
Not just anybody. Help. I need someone. Help. When I was younger, so much younger than today, I never needed anybody's help in any way.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-643-9406. That's 1-800-643-9406. Again, 1-800-643-9406. Call now.
Shaquille O'Neal for Icy Hot.
If you've got pain, you need the patch.
The Icy Hot Patch. Powerful, targeted, fast-acting pain relief that stays put without the mess. Icy to dull the pain, hot to relax it away. In a variety of sizes, from back, shoulders, knees, even arthritis. So you're covered whenever and wherever you're hurt. Stop pain right at the source with Icy Hot Patches.
Pain's no match for the Icy Hot Patch.
For temporary topical pain relief, use only as directed.
Here's a look at the community calendar. I'm Carlos Gonzalez. The city of San Bernardino invites you to take advantage of Free Dump Day. If you haven't wanted mattresses, appliances, tires, electronics, or shrubs to get rid of, mark the last Saturday of each month on your calendar. You must provide proof of residency with your driver's license or utility bill. No hazardous or construction materials will be accepted. To find out the times and places for Free Dump Day, Google City of San Bernardino calendar. If you're looking for something fun, interesting, and free to do, the City of San Bernardino History and Railroad Museum is open every Saturday from 10 till 3. Schedule a group tour by calling 909-888-3634 and learn some fascinating firsts about San Bernardino. That number again, 909-888-3634. And that's a look at the KCAA Community Calendar. I'm Carlos Gonzalez.
KCAA invites you to listen to professional money manager Bill Gunderson every weekday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. Bill Gunderson is a highly respected money manager. He's a regular contributor to MarketWatch, TheStreet.com, and Town Hall Finance. Gunderson has appeared many times on the Fox News Channel, the Fox Business Network, and CNBC. You can hear Bill Gunderson's daily insight into the market at 7 a.m. weekdays, right here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind. Listen to KCAA Loma Linda for less confrontation and more information.
Welcome back. I'm Aaron Brinker.
I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we have Cool Breeze Carlos Cool Breeze Gonzalez in the booth today. Welcome back. So we have to talk about Baltimore.
Now we can talk about Baltimore?
Now we can talk.
Finally. I'm just giving you a hard time because I can on the air.
Yeah.
So Baltimore. I hear the Orioles are playing tonight.
Yeah, and nobody's coming.
Yeah. Baltimore is burning, right? I mean, it's on fire right now because of the riots that have been going on, and this is one of those stories that unfortunately has been happening too often in our country, and it takes place amongst a very specific set of facts and a tapestry of events that have occurred across our country in the last couple of years that have just sort of been a slow-burning fuse. I think the president made some comments to that effect basically yesterday, that this is not something that is unusual, and it's sort of been this sort of slow-rolling disaster. Baltimore, though, is an interesting case because the current mayor, Stephanie Rawlings Blake, took over her position back in 2010 after the previous mayor was arrested for and indicted for embezzlement. And so she was a council person who rose up to become the new mayor and came in with this idea that she's going to clean house. They'd also had numerous scandals in their police department, and so she's done a lot to try to fix some of that. And in fact, just a little bit before these riots occurred, she had given her annual State of the Union address. And in an article from the New Yorker, they pulled out a little quote from that. And the quote was, she talked about that citizen complaints alleging excessive force are down 46%. Police discourtesy complaints are down 53%. Notices of lawsuits alleging police misconduct are down dramatically over the past 3 years. We know the overwhelming majority of our officers treat our residents with dignity, respect, and courtesy. They wear the badge with honor and demonstrate reverence for the position that they hold in our community. However, it only takes a few bad actors to damage the reputation of an entire city. Now, this is from a speech given before the events that happened, right? Now, the interesting thing is that the article in the New Yorker sort of raises is that, politicians like these kinds of metrics, to be able to talk about the percentage that crime's gone down or the percentage of things have changed. But for folks on the ground, folks who live in the city, it's not a quantitative thing, it's a qualitative thing.
Right, it's what's happened to me and people that I know and love.
Yeah, and it's what's going on in your neighborhood, and how does it feel to you? Do you feel safer in your neighborhood? Do you feel like the cops are nicer to you? Do you feel, that they're more respectful? And if you don't feel that, someone can stand up and say, these statistics all they want, but if that's not your reality, it's not your reality. And so there's a disconnect.
Right.
There's a real disconnect between the leaders of the city and the people that live there, who I think still feel very much like that they're second-class citizens, that they're being abused by the system, And so when you look at what happened with this current event, and you take it on top of all of these other events that have happened around the country, and there's just a long list of all of these young black men who have been killed or harmed at the hands of the police mostly, some with private citizens. And, we can start with Trayvon Martin, which was not police related, but, we have Jordan Davis, we have Michael Brown, we have Tamir Rice, Rekia Boyd, Eric Garner, a whole list of folks, right? And then we had this one, what was it, Walter Scott last week, the guy who was running away from the cop who was shot.
But that cop is being tried for murder.
Yeah, oh no, I know. But my point is that there's a pattern that people are seeing, folks who live in the African Americans who live in these communities, who feel like there's a target on their back, And so you can cite all these statistics about, the cops are being nicer to us and whatever. But again, if you don't feel it, and there's a pervasive sense of this is happening because of racism, people are going to riot, and so that's what we've got going on in Baltimore. But there's this weird sort of dichotomy that's going on, right? That they're rioting because they're angry, because they want to draw attention to the injustice that's occurred.
And there are a certain percentage of people, or there is a certain percentage of people who are there just because they want to break stuff.
Well, and that's the sad part. See, just like in the mayor's speech where she said it just takes a few cops to destroy that image. It just takes a few of these bad actors out there on the streets, right? The group of thugs that are throwing the rocks and destroying the police cars and burning people's, robbing the CVS and all that stuff. Once that happens, public opinion now turns, and the conversation stops being about the injustice, stops being about the institutional issues that are driving these things.
Right.
And instead it becomes about the criminal activity.
Right. You see the pictures of the guys standing all over the cop cars with ball bats, or whatever, with the broken windows and all of that, setting buildings on fire in the CVS. And, the mayor, Stephanie Rawlings Blake, also, she says she misspoke or was taken out of context, but I don't know that she did misspeak. I think, we also she said, these were her words, we also gave those who wish to destroy space, to destroy space to do that as well.
Yeah.
And, it's not okay for a mayor of a city to say, we let them destroy your property. And here's my question is, because she, as the mayor, put that statement out there, is the city now going to be held responsible for the damage that was done? Can the people, the business owners and the property owners go back and say, well, I owned the building that CVS was in, and the mayor basically gave permission to the rioters to destroy my building. The city's going to have to pay to rebuild.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I will tell you, there's been some.
If I were in that position, I would certainly sue.
Yeah. Well, there'll definitely be lawsuits, I think. But I think that there's been some interesting reporting on this specific thing about this withdrawal. and her statement that she made. And one of the interesting things is their new police chief actually came from the city of Oakland in California, where he had to deal with riots when he was the chief there as well. And he actually got some acclaim for the way he handled the riots in Oakland because he gave the rioters the opportunity to do kind of what they're doing in Baltimore. And then once they went into a building and began to loot it, then the cops moved in and they basically had them sort of in a situation where they could then contain them and then begin arresting them and taking them out. And so
Did that work?
It did in Oakland, but the Oakland riots were much smaller. And this were the riots that related to the gentleman that was shot on the transit platform. I don't know if you remember this one. I'm blanking on the name of the victim. It actually got turned into a movie, but he was handcuffed and then shot by a transit cop, and it led to riots in Oakland. And so I think that because of his experience in Oakland, he basically said to the mayor, this is what we need to do. We need to give them some space to do this. And then our cops, once they burn off some steam and get a little bit here, then our cops will know where they're at because they're going to focus in on a particular area that they're rioting or looting in. And then we can go in and start pulling them out, and it's easier for us to grab them versus trying to stop them before they get going.
Well, now if you there's no way that without knowing that, there's no way that a listener would understand that context.
Yeah.
No way that an outside person, because I've never heard that before, would understand that context.
Well, and again, this is speculation because this is assuming that there was a conversation between the mayor and the police chief to that effect.
Well, but you know that there probably would have been.
Based on his past history. We started this segment by talking about the Orioles game. And one of the things that was interesting was when the rioting was going on, that the cops pulled back to the area around the baseball stadium, and that's where they would not allow the rioters to get anywhere near the ball game because they had a game going on while the riots were going on, and they wanted.
And if you're in a stadium, you're basically a captive audience. That could have gotten very, very ugly.
It could have. But one of the interesting things is that one of the rioters near the area was shouting that they only care about the Orioles. And this speaks to a deeper issue within the community, that the way that the police are typically sent out in an issue like this is to protect the business community, to protect the wealthier or nicer areas of town. And the people that are doing the rioting, one of their big complaints is that the cops don't care about them, that they only care about other people's stuff. They don't care about the things that are going on in their community. And when they do come into their community, they come in with an eye of you're all criminals and we're gonna beat you. And so the disconnect for the community versus the police was that they're only protecting these buildings, these storefronts and the money paying patrons at the Oriole game. They don't care about us. Now, of course, they're rioting. They're
right,
perpetrating violence.
They're breaking stuff.
They're breaking stuff, and so the cops have got to try to stop that. But it's just this weird disconnect again between what the civic leaders are thinking and what the community is thinking. And until you can sit down with these folks and get them on the same page, I think you'll continue to see the flare-ups. You'll see the violence. You'll see this kind of activity going on.
Well, the good news is that the curfew from last night apparently held.
Yeah.
There were 3,000 police and National Guardsmen down in Baltimore last night, and they were able to clear the streets. There was some resistance, but they were able to break it down, and so
tear
that
gas.
is good. Well, they used tear gas.
They had to use tear gas to get them off the streets.
People were laying down on the streets, and they weren't getting up, but they needed to clear the streets at night.
Yeah.
And they were able to do that. So just before midnight, the Baltimore Police Commissioner Anthony Batts declared the curfew, which ended at 5 a.m., a success. We don't have a lot of active movement throughout the city as a whole, he said tonight. I think the biggest thing is that citizens are safe. The city is stable. We hope to maintain it that way. So, maybe it's quiet. Maybe it'll be quieter this morning. I haven't heard reports yet this morning because it's early.
Yeah.
And so maybe it'll be quieter today.
Yeah. Now I know we have to go to a break here, but the one thing we got to talk about when we come back is the one really, and I hope I can say this, badass mom who pulled her kid out of the rioting, because everyone's been talking about that, and she's actually given an interview now, and I just love the clip of this mom pulling her boy out of there and just smacking him upside the head, saying, "What the hell are you doing out here?" And as a parent, I had an oh yes moment, because if I saw my kid out there doing something
I'd
stupid,
do the same thing.
I'd do the same thing. Because kids get caught up in this stuff. And the other issue, too, is why the kids were out there, is all the rioting basically started when the high schools let out. And a bunch of the high school kids started off, and I've heard two different versions of the story. The kids started off with a peaceful protest that they were going to march downtown and then it got out of hand when the cops confronted them. And actually, there've been some teacher reports saying that the cops actually escalated that situation. That had the cops sort of just let the kids march downtown like they intended to, instead of blocking them and taunting them, that things would not have gotten ugly like they did. But that's when the real violence broke out, is when the high schools let out of school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we will talk about that when we come back.
Okay.
And I'm Aaron Brinker.
I'm Tobin Brinker.
And I'm Cool Breeze.
And he's Cool Breeze Gonzalez. This is a morning show on the Brink here on KCAA AM 1050. We'll be right back.
Shaquille O'Neal for Icy Hot.
If you've got pain, you need the patch.
The Icy Hot Patch. Powerful, targeted, fast-acting pain relief that stays put without the mess. Icy to dull the pain, hot to relax it away. In a variety of sizes, from back, shoulders, knees, even arthritis. So you're covered whenever and wherever you're hurt. Stop pain right at the source with Icy Hot Patches.
Pain's no match for the Icy Hot Patch.
For temporary topical pain relief, use only as directed.
We are farmers. We are all-day long doers. Agriculture isn't just our industry, it's our way of life. We invest in equipment that's long-lasting, economical, and environmentally conscious, because that's what it takes to do the job right. We're all about greater horsepower and cleaner emissions, new implements, more attachments, better technology, and dependable engineering. For all your ag equipment needs, we are Kubota.
How would you like to have a large portion of your credit card debt completely forgiven, both the principal and interest? National Credit Card Relief wants to give you free information that shows you how. Thousands of people have used this program to have their credit card debt forgiven. So call now for free information and consultation. We'll give you the secret to this money-saving program absolutely free. Get eye-opening information that could save you thousands of dollars a year or a month, depending on how much you owe. In fact, the more you owe, the more you can save. All you need is $10,000 or more in credit debt, medical bills, or department store debt to qualify. Call for free debt forgiveness information now at 800-546-2909. That's 800-546-2909 to discover the secret to having your credit card debt forgiven. Call 800-546-2909. 800-546-2909. Don't wait. Call now. 800-546-2909.
Would you wait several days for your cell phone to fully charge? Would you wait several days to feel the full effect of relief from your nasal congestion? Flonase Allergy Relief Nasal Spray could take that long. Ugh. But if you're congested now and you want powerful relief now, use Afrin No Drip. Afrin starts working in seconds and keeps working for 12 hours. So why wait several days to feel the full effect? When you can start to get relief in seconds with Afrin. Afrin, powerful congestion relief without the wait. Use as directed.
Do you have a broken window or rock chip on your vehicle that needs repair? Give us a call at HM Auto Glass, 951-858-5190. HM Auto Glass is your locally owned and operated auto glass specialist, offering low cost and high quality auto glass repair and replacement. We also work with all major insurance companies and offer free mobile service. So call us, 951-858-5190. That number again is 951-858-5190.
KCAA is your CNBC News affiliate. We're the station that gets down to business.
Fly me to the moon, let me play.
Welcome back. I'm Aaron Brinker.
I'm Tobin Brinker.
We have Cool Breeze Gonzalez in the booth. Like this song.
Like Jupiter and Mars.
Very smooth. So we have to talk about the angry mom. The woman labeled Mom of the Year for dragging her son away from rioting in Baltimore says she didn't want her only son to end up like Freddie Gray. Toya Graham, who was filmed smacking and berating her 16-year-old son, tells CBS News that she lost it after she saw him among the crowd throwing objects at police. The single mother of 6 says she doesn't believe attacking police is any way to get justice for Gray, and she wanted to protect her son. That there's some days that I'll shield him in the house just so he won't go outside. I know I can't do that for the rest of my life, she says. I'm a no tolerant mother. Everybody that knows me knows I don't play. And I think it's fantastic.
She's awesome.
She's awesome.
She's awesome.
She went in. She saw him on television, right?
Yep.
Throwing, involved, and he had a mask on, but she knew it was her kid, and she went in and grabbed him.
Yep. And, the police chief said he wished that more parents would take control of their kids like that, right? I mean, how many parents would do that? I mean, and sadly, and for some of these kids, I'm sure their parents were right out there with them. But
and some of the parents were at work. I mean, this is during the school day. They were high school kids that were mostly engaged. I mean, you and I would have been at work.
Yeah, but she went and grabbed him, smacked him upside three times, cursed him out, tried to finally ripped the mask off his head, and made him go home. And in a different article, they mentioned that once they got home, people realized that it was her and her son. People were sending kudos to her, saying she did the right thing, but also sending messages to him and saying, you better be thankful to your mom. Don't be mad at her because she protected you. She kept you safe. And, you put yourself out there in that situation. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but when the L.A. had their riots, they had like 51 people that were killed in the L.A. riots. People get killed in these situations. These are not just, I'm going to go out and have some fun throwing some rocks at the cops. People bring guns out to these things. Cops have guns, and things can get out of hand real quick. And so this mom is trying to keep her son alive, and it's, as she points out in the article, this is no way to get justice. This isn't gonna solve the problem by throwing rocks at cops and burning up buildings. That's not the solution. It's not the solution.
It's true. So she has she's a mother of 6, 5 are girls. This is her only son, and he was her only son. And she said, that she had to do what she had to do, and God bless her. God bless her. We need more mothers like her.
Yes, we do.
But like I said, some of them. I mean, I don't want to be judgmental of the mothers who weren't out there because they may have been at work and they're supporting their families, and the kind of thing. If you leave, you get fired. You stay at work.
Exactly. But nonetheless, this woman set an example for many parents to follow, which is that you got to parent your kid, and when you see him doing something stupid like this, you got to go and pull him out if you can.
Yep.
This whole thing in Baltimore has really captured everyone's attention. It's going to be very interesting. Like I said, the president spoke out about it yesterday. I've had some people say that his remarks were probably some of the most authentic remarks that he's made on race since he's been in the office. Maybe it's because he's getting close to the end of his second term that he feels more comfortable to speak out on some of these issues. But that we really have to, as a country, begin to get a handle on these larger issues. And the president mentioned incarceration rates, and I think this is a part of one of the problems that we're looking at. Education is another part of this. Employment levels is another part of this. And they're all sort of interconnected. So we've got to start talking about some of the root causes. It's not just about, the cops are bad for doing this. Obviously, we have to work on the policing issue as well. But I think that there is it's a much more complicated problem than just saying, that these are a bunch of racist cops. It's much more than that. It has to do with what's gone on in our society, post Civil War Reconstruction, Jim Crow, Civil Rights Movement, and while we've made a lot of gains, there are still areas of our country that are just not right, and we have got to begin to look at those areas, and these issues, these incidents are putting a spotlight on them.
One of the things that's been, The Wire was basically built based on, the show The Wire was basically built based on Baltimore. And so, and that was a show about corruption and city decline and all of that. And, Baltimore's had these kind of histories, and there's lots of cities that are, San Bernardino County, you can lump in there too, where there's been this history of poor leadership and I'm not naming names. We'll go to Baltimore, because I'm not blaming people. That's what I mean, not naming names. I'm not blaming people specifically, but in Baltimore, you've had this corruption, and you mentioned at the top of the segment, about the indictments and the arrests and the corruption and all of the police violence and all of these things, and you have in these poor cities where people don't have the means to fight back or stand up for themselves, or an understanding of how the system works, perhaps, where politicians, people in power, just they don't care about the citizenry. They're going to
Yeah.
get what they're going to get. And it leaves a city that is in turmoil. So Baltimore's leadership over the last many years is partially responsible for all of this.
Yeah.
Largely responsible for all of this.
Yeah.
Although, I'm not going to say there's no responsibility for the riders. It's you make the decision to pick up a ball bat and crash, and hit a cop car's windows or hood. You make the decision to set fire to a CVS.
Yeah.
We're all responsible for our actions. But, some of their anger, a good portion of the anger is righteous anger.
Yeah, it is. And, one of the things, there's many things that will happen in the aftermath. We watched from previous riots, like the LA riots, they did not rebuild South Central. People had this idea that, these big companies, that they'll get their insurance money and they'll rebuild and all this. Well, now some folks who live in South Central, and it's taken decades, right, to rebuild, but they didn't have grocery stores. They would have to go miles and miles and miles to get to because they burned out the ones that were there, and they wouldn't rebuild. Why would I rebuild there? It's not safe. It's my insurance rates are through the roof. I can't. They couldn't afford to do it, and so they harmed their own communities, their own neighborhoods. And some people, when they were doing the looting, had this idea that we're going to rebuild the city afterwards. It's going to be even better than it was before. Well, no, that doesn't really happen. And the other thing too is they went after the people who did the looting. They had all kinds of video from the security cameras.
They being in L.A.
In L.A. And I think you'll see the same thing in Baltimore, that once this thing all settles down, you'll begin to see a series of arrests as people are identified from various video sources. And, some of these fools are out there posting their little clips on YouTube and whatever, showing themselves doing this because they're proud of it, right? And then the cops come knocking on your door, and they're going to find all the stuff they watched you carry in your video, watched you carry it out the store, sitting there in your living room. There's the evidence.
So we are out of time. I'm Aaron Brinker.
I'm Tobin Brinker.
And he's Cool Breeze in the booth. Thank you so much for spending Wednesday with us here on KCAA AM 1050. We are on the Brink, the morning show. Have a great and productive Wednesday, everybody.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
California headline news. Governor Brown announces plans to propose legislation giving all water agencies and local governments across the state